big one. And my title for today is God Is. I know that a lot of people have a lot of ideas about God, and so I thought I'd take the time today to explore it, to give you my perceptions, my ideas of what this thing we call God is. And I want you to know that in order to get the most out of this talk, let go of whatever you might believe and see if any of the principles that I'm sharing with you, any of the ideas that I'm sharing with you today, might give you a clearer idea. Here's the single most important thing that I came up with about God. It's a mystery. That's right, God is a mystery. There's no way that I can give you a concrete definition, black and white, that describes God. Because just from the very premise of God means God is infinite, all-knowing, everywhere present. How do you describe that without limiting it? That's why it's a mystery. And it's a mystery that people interpret differently. The Catholics determine it differently, and then within the Catholics they determine it differently. The Jews determine it differently. The Hindus, the Buddhists, the Islams, the Muslims, not the Islams, they determine it differently. So let's start off with that idea that God is a mystery. And let's move to this simple idea. And this is from Ernest Holmes, and he said, God is uncaused, original, and absolute. Think about those words. God is uncaused, meaning it is not cause and effect. No one created God. God always have been. Original, meaning this is the beginning. This is where it all starts. Absolute. There's nothing but God. It is an absolute truth. Now, how does Ernest Holmes know that? He doesn't. It's what he believes that God is. Because how do you prove this? I don't know how you can prove it. I think it's that leap of faith that we take. So here are the things that I've heard about God, and we'll talk about them to see if they can give us a framework from which to formulate this idea that we call God. God is omniscient. This simply means to know everything. It is infinite wisdom. So if we go to the idea that God is the original, it means then that all wisdom must be within that, because there's no other place it can be. This is the original. It's uncaused. And it's uncaused and it's absolute. So all wisdom is within it. So God is omniscient. God is infinite wisdom. We move from all wisdom to God is omnipresent. Omnipresent means to be present everywhere and anywhere at the same time. Because if God is original, uncaused, it means there's only God. So right where I am, right where you are, God is. We then move on to the idea that God is omnipotent, meaning having unlimited power and the ability to do anything. Think about that. I'm the original, absolute, uncaused. That means that anything that is created by God, and the power of God created everything. It can do anything. There is no limitation placed upon it. Here's a new word for you. God is OmniAware. I love that. This came to me as I was putting together the talk. I love that God is OmniAware. It is aware of all things because it is all things. Think about that. God is the original, absolute, uncaused, which means that when it creates, because it's all-powerful, all-knowing, and everywhere present, the only thing it can create is out of itself. If it's created out of itself, it is a part of it. If it is a part of it, then the all it, is aware of all things because it is all things. So as you take that in, realize everything is an expression of God. Awareness is God. Awareness, we can look at that and say it's consciousness. So we could also say God is omniconscious. And so if you really think about that, then there's consciousness in everything. And yet we as humans think that their only consciousness that exists is within us. How arrogant. How arrogant are we? Quantum physics would say that there is consciousness in a rock, different than the consciousness that you and I are and how it experiences and expresses. Plants, there's a consciousness. Animals, there's a consciousness. So why is it then that we humans believe that we're the highest consciousness below the infinite? I look at it and say, if God is infinite, then there's levels of consciousness well above where I am, well above where you are, that we're just not aware of. Because in our limited senses, we can't know it. We can't experience it. I believe there's infinite levels of consciousness, infinite dimensions where we experience life. And so with that, well, what about that? What about that? No, be present now, where you are in consciousness, and fully live and experience life as much as you can. Here's the other thing. God is the creator. It is the creator, and at the same time, it is that which it creates. And it's the process by which creation takes place. Do you see that? It is the creator, it's the process by which things create, and it is the created. In other words, God is both the seed, the soil, and the plant. It is the divine idea planted in the soil of creation. That soil of creation, we call it the law, creates what we believe, and the outpicturing is an experience. God does this in the human form, in the animal form, in the plant form, in the cosmic form, in the universal form, in any possible dimension you can imagine. It, consciousness, awareness, is the creator. It is all of it, not part of it, all of it. It's not using anything outside of it. We come back to Ernest Holmes. And Ernest said this: you are a divine idea made manifest, an experience that God is having of itself by means of you. So this creative process had a divine idea, and you are that divine idea. And it created you, an individualized point of consciousness, with a body, with a mind. And God did this so it can have an experience of itself by means of you. Now, if you really take that a little bit further, then every person, everything on the planet, everything in the cosmos is a divine idea made manifest. And God is experiencing everything through its creation. In your world, you have a level of awareness. Your level of awareness is what creates your expression, experience, and it makes you unique. So no one else in the realm of God is having that unique expression. That's why you're perfect, because without you, consciousness, awareness, God would be incomplete. Ernest Holmes said, we believe the universe is one whole, complete, and intelligent system. And the more I study, the more I understand that my belief is this belief as well. that there's intelligence everywhere and the system is whole. I'm whole right now. I am complete. Within me is the very power to create my life experience. And it's how I use my intelligence, my awareness. How do I build my beliefs, consciously or unconsciously, knowing that my beliefs create? How do I build habits of belief that serve my growth and my expansion? See, because most of the time, you and I, we're not aware all the time. We have an ego. We fall in and out of awareness. But what if we were able to build habits that cause us to grow? What if we were open to new ideas because it's a habit of being open we created? What if we built all our beliefs around this statement that there is a universe and it's one, it's whole, it's complete, and it's intelligent? What if we built our habits that supported that? How would our life change? You see, by universe, we mean everything that exists anywhere, and to this we add everything that exists in potential as well as form, which is the whole realm of consciousness. It is the seen, the unseen, the known, the unknown, and the unknowable. All of it exists within this idea we call God. Call it cosmic consciousness. Call it the universe. Call it spirit. The key thing is to understand there is only one. We can call it by any name we choose. And no matter what we call it, there is only one. Our naming it does not limit it. It only limits our perception of it. And when we limit our perception of it, we limit ourselves because we are a part of it. This is the hardest thing for me to have grasped. And I'm beginning to more fully understand it, that there is one. There is not separate people. We're all connected at the core of all that we are. And underneath it all, we're all perfect because we're a part of the one, and the one that we know that is God is perfect. So today, give yourself the greatest break you can give yourself by realizing that you're already whole and perfect, that you don't have to live up to anyone else's standard. You just have to live up to being the best you that you can conceive. Know that you are one. And when you know that you are one, you know what God is. I want to thank you for being here with me today. And one of the things that I have found is that when we use affirmations, they can help us reprogram our mind to see our truth. My favorite affirmation is, I'm connected, whole, worthy, and powerful, and I live in the awareness that I'm one with universal mind. That's the first affirmation I say every day. I'm building a habit of thinking that thought. If you are interested in getting a list of my top 25 affirmations, I invite you to go to agapespiritualcenter.com, and on the very front page, you'll see sign up for Lee's affirmations. Click the button and sign up now. Start yourself with thoughts that you can empower yourself with, that give you back the power that's always existed within you. With that in mind, go get your affirmations. If not, doesn't matter. Create a great day, because only you can.